How many times have you guys, in a situation of need, a moment of need, you go, you know what I need? I need da 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 da, right? And then you blow it off. And then 3 years later, there's a guy, on an infomercial describing exactly your idea. And he's showing you how great your product works. And he's like, look, blueberry juice. All in 2 seconds, it's gone. Sham wow. I mean, and so much so that these guys are now like famous enough to where they take prostitutes out or they're getting coverage. I mean, off of the fame of something that, like an idea that you have. Like, you have to be unafraid to listen and unafraid to think that something that you have is a good idea. Now, it's funny because me and one of my colleagues, we were having this conversation on the plane on the way here to New York yesterday. You also can't believe in it so much that you have deaf ears toward like reason and reality. Because you can have the most brilliant idea in the world, but you got to bet on yourself. You can't think that like that one idea and the way that you think it's supposed to happen is the only way that it can happen. Right? And I'm the main one that says to kids, look, don't wait for the stars to align. Reach up and rearrange them the way you want. Create your own constellation. I say that all the time. But you can't be crazy. This is the other side of the spectrum of what I just said. You've written this amazing piece, right? And you're in the film. And the studios are like, look, we don't want to make this film with you directing it, but we really love the material. You have to be smart enough to say, you know what? I wrote it. Let me take a producer credit, a co-writing, and I'll be on the red carpet. And that red carpet is literally metaphorical for the red carpet of my life and my destiny. And I said to this person, I'm like, listen, if you wrote this amazing piece, co-wrote this amazing piece, don't you think you have 19 other ideas waiting? So you're going to literally hold up like the Lincoln Tunnel for one car. You have to know that, like, look, this one thing will get me in the door. It will allow people to see my perspective. And from then on, they'll say, hey, if I want a slice of this reality, I've got to go back to this guy. Like, you can't do Tarantino without Tarantino. And that's the other side of it. So there's like a fine line, but you just have to be smart enough to know that, like, there's so many ways that like things can turn out, and there's so many people in their lives that, man, if I would have just made that left turn, or if I would have just stayed in the house 5 more minutes or whatever, like, woulda, coulda, shoulda. If we would bet on ourselves, but at the same time take in consideration what this moment will mean to us 10 years from now, it could be different. But listen, I haven't made all the best decisions in the world either. I definitely fell on my ass a million times, but I learned on my way down, and I definitely take it in stride getting back up. The only thing I really showed up for and readily showed up for since 7th grade was band practice. So I considered myself very fortunate. So that's why I really like talking to kids now, because I realize, man, you could be that kid that has this awesome glow about you, but unless, someone's around to recognize that glow and to hone in and harness and sort of help mentor and like cultivate what's there, these kids don't have a chance. And so for me, I'd like to say that, my humble beginnings in music was that of fortune, but I've been smart enough to pay attention from that moment on. If I knew then what I know now, it probably could be so much better. I'm a perfectionist. There's always room for improvement. I'm never really going to be happy with whatever it is, no matter how great it does, no matter how much success it accumulates, and no matter how big the accolades read. Like, I just noticed that, like, these things kept coming my way, and I would, like, pay attention to it and say, okay, I would weigh it out in my mind, like, okay, what is the benefit from this? I would always ask myself that, and then I'd say these things to my mom, and she just would not be surprised. But I was always surprised, like, what do you mean? Like, this is huge. But so you just, you have to be sort of open. And I'm not sure that, it's cool to be like super open-minded, and then when you are, or when you see people that are, everyone like rolls around like, coining them geniuses. And really all it is just like being open to other things in the world. And I guess that's it. I mean, because I didn't plan these things. I mean, now, in the last few years, when I started to catch on, it started to make sense. I'm like, oh, okay, this is how it goes. You sort of set out these goals, and then you have long-term goals, and then you have short-term goals. And somewhere within, you find your hobbies, and then you find the things that you are interested in, which are two separate things, because what your hobbies are, what you naturally and readily go to, and what you're interested in are the things that you don't mind studying a little more and researching a little more than you would anything else. And somewhere at the 50-yard line is what you should be doing with your life. I was lucky enough to stumble across that. I look at every opportunity as something that cements the next block in your sidewalk. And it's just important to, don't look over your shoulder every 5 minutes. If anything, just continue to stand on your tippy toes to see how far you can see and what's in the horizon. You shouldn't run away from the industry, but what you should definitely do is work on your education and have a backup plan. So if it doesn't work out, you're good. You still have a second industry that you work in that you really like. You're not worried, like, okay, this didn't work, but I have a B, C, and a D plan. Have B, C, and D plans. Now, the last gentleman was right too, because you want to be better than everybody else. At this day and age, people are singing with their feet. YouTube has proven it. You're just seeing the craziest things that you've ever seen in your whole life. And it's not that the world has changed, it's just that there's more coverage and more ways to see things than ever. So that means that it heightens the competition for you. So you want to be able to sing all different kinds of music, and at the same time being true to yourself and the kind of music that you want to make and who you think you are as an artist. I know that's a tough bill, but the chagrin, meaning the truth that you may not want to hear or I might not want to say, is that there are 6-year-olds probably doing the same thing and that are just as good. And you got to know that there's another 12-year-old that's probably got the same name, Kylie, just spelt differently. Aren't we seeing that now? Like, we're seeing so many artists, like there's 20 million Nicoles, there's 20 million Annas, and you just have to expect that someone's, right behind you waiting for you to stumble and fall. So be on it. Practice all the time. And if you're a singer, don't be afraid to have a coach. The best singers that you know and love, they have trainers and coaches. Think about it like gymnastics, right? You watch the Olympics. I know I'm a little long-winded, but I just want to offer you what I can offer you. But think about it like the Olympics, right? When you see someone doing the craziest choreography that you've ever seen in your life on the balance bars or the balancing beam. I don't know what you call it, but whatever it is, they're doing all this stuff, and it's the craziest, most crazy, routine you've seen in your life, right? You're thinking to yourself, wow, how many people are involved in that process? That person probably has a team of 10 to 20, and one of them is a coach, and your larynx and your esophagus is a muscle. It has to be trained. And you have to treat it like that. You have to warm up. You have to exercise every day. And you have to have somebody in there that is far better than you are, teaching you and pushing you further than you would on your own. Because it's cool to be a rough diamond, but let me tell you something. The minute that you get to 47th Street, reality kicks in. There are brand new sliced and diced diamonds that are D class, and that's what you want to be. You want to be the best. You want to be internally flawless. That should be your aim, along with getting an education.